From family ties to broken bonds, how one betrayal changed everything. ADO for not asking my partner to drive my friend to work. Best drama Reddit. Family tales. Am I the A for refusing my friend's request to ask my partner to drive her to work when I take time off work to give birth? At 7 months pregnant, my daily routine has become a carefully managed balance of preparation and endurance. Each morning begins at 5:40 a.m., with the alarm dragging me from sleep. Rising now takes more effort, with my growing belly making simple movements cumbersome. By 5:30 a.m., I'm dressed and in the kitchen preparing breakfast for myself and my partner, who has been my rock throughout this pregnancy. We recently moved into a new apartment, a decision made with our expanding family in mind. The apartment is cozy and well lit, offering just enough space for the nursery we're eagerly setting up. Living here has brought us a sense of peace and anticipation for the future. Around 5:45 a.m., I head out to pick up my friend. She lives only a few minutes away, a convenience that has made our carpool arrangement possible over the past year. Initially, it was an easy favor, as we lived in the same apartment complex. Even after moving in with my partner, I've continued this routine out of a sense of loyalty and friendship. My friend, unable to drive and without nearby family to assist her, relies on me for her daily commute. By 6 a.m., I'm at her place and we head to work together, arriving by 6:30 a.m. This part of my routine has become ingrained. Despite the increasing physical demands of pregnancy, my partner's schedule is slightly more forgiving. He doesn't need to leave for work until 7:30 a.m., allowing him a bit more time in the morning. His job is stable, and he's been incredibly supportive, especially as the pregnancy progresses. Living in our new apartment has been a welcome change. We've started setting up the nursery, buying furniture, and decorating the space. It's a small but meaningful way to prepare for the baby, providing a focus for our excitement and hopes for the future. Despite the early mornings and the physical toll, I've tried to keep things as normal as possible. Giving my friend a ride to work has become a part of that normality. However, with my maternity leave approaching, I'm beginning to realize that this routine will soon need to change. The thought of driving with a newborn at 6 a.m. is daunting, and I know it's not a practical solution. This realization has brought about a mix of emotions. On one hand, I feel a strong sense of responsibility toward my friend, who depends on me for her commute. On the other hand, I need to prioritize my own health and the well-being of my baby. It's a difficult balance, and as my leave date draws nearer, I'm becoming more aware of the impending changes and the challenges they will bring. My friendship with the woman who now relies on me for rides to work began several years ago. We met at a previous job, where we quickly bonded over shared interests and experiences. Over time, our friendship deepened, and we became close confidants. When she got her current job, I was thrilled for her and happy to help her secure the position. This made it easy and natural for me to offer her a ride to work when she needed one. Initially, the arrangement was straightforward and convenient. We both lived in the same apartment complex, just a few minutes apart. It made sense for me to swing by her place on my way to work. At that time, it felt like a small favor for a good friend, one that I was more than happy to provide. The routine became part of our daily lives, and it allowed us to catch up and share conversations during the drive, further strengthening our bond. As my pregnancy progressed, the simplicity of our arrangement began to shift. The demands of my condition made the early morning routine more challenging. What once felt like an effortless favor now required careful planning and considerable energy. I started to feel the strain, but my sense of loyalty and commitment to our friendship kept me going. I didn't want to let her down, especially knowing she had no other viable transportation options. With maternity leave on the horizon, I began to grapple with the reality that I wouldn't be able to continue our carpool arrangement. The thought of navigating early morning drives with a newborn was overwhelming. I knew that I needed to focus on my health and prepare for the baby's arrival. This impending change was a source of stress, as I was aware of how much my friend depended on me. My pregnancy itself had been relatively smooth, but as the months went by, the physical and emotional demands increased. Preparing for maternity leave added another layer of complexity. I had to ensure that everything at work was in order before I stepped away, and I needed to prepare our home for the baby. The closer I got to my due date, the more I realized how crucial it was to shift my priorities. Despite the challenges, I tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. Continuing to give my friend rides was part of that effort. However, I was becoming increasingly aware that I needed to set boundaries for my own well-being and the well-being of my growing family. The impending maternity leave was a turning point, marking a time when I would need to focus entirely on my new role as a mother and the adjustments that came with it. As my baby's due date got closer, I started to worry about how I could keep giving my friend rides once I was on maternity leave. I knew that having a baby would change everything, and the idea of early morning drives with a newborn seemed too hard. I was concerned about the toll on my body, my baby's safety, and how it would affect our new family routine. My friend's lack of driving skills was a big problem. Even though we live in a place where you really need a car, she never learned to drive. She always used public transport or relied on friends like me. I understood her situation. The closest driving school was 2 hours away, so it was really hard for her to take lessons. She also didn't have family nearby to help. Over time, my friend got more and more worried about how she would get around. She tried everything she could think of. She asked coworkers, but none of them lived nearby or had the same work hours. Public transport here isn't reliable and wouldn't get her to work on time. Ride-sharing services were too expensive for her to use every day. Every time something didn't work out, it added to her stress. Our car rides together started to be filled with her worries. She kept bringing up her transport problems, and it was clear how stressed she was. I felt bad for her, but I also had my own worries. I was torn between wanting to help and needing to get ready for my baby. One day she told me how scared she was about losing her job once I was on maternity leave. I felt for her, but I knew I couldn't keep giving her rides. I told her that once the baby came, I wouldn't be able to help as much. I needed to focus on my health and my baby. Even though I tried to be understanding, she got more anxious. She kept coming up with ideas that would mean big sacrifices for me or my partner. It made me realize how much she was relying on me and how hard it would be for her to find another way. She even half-jokingly suggested that my partner could drive her, but that wouldn't work. He already works a lot, and it wouldn't be fair to add more to his plate. Plus, we were both getting ready for our baby. No matter what I said, she kept pushing for a solution. It felt like she was pressuring me, and it added to my stress. I could see how scared she was, but I couldn't put her needs before mine and my baby's. This whole thing started to hurt our friendship. Our nice chats during drives turned into her worrying and me feeling guilty. I was stuck between being a good friend and a good mom-to-be. As my maternity leave got closer, the pressure got worse. I knew we needed a solution, but it seemed less and less likely that we'd find one that worked for both of us. I was struggling with how to handle this tough situation without hurting myself or my family. One morning, as we were driving to work, my friend turned to me with a mix of determination and desperation. "Have you considered asking your partner to drive me to work once you're on maternity leave?" she asked, her tone hopeful, as if she had found the perfect solution. I took a deep breath, feeling the tension rise. "I can't ask him to do that," I replied gently but firmly. "He has his own schedule and needs to be at work by 7:30. Asking him to drive you would mean he'd have to wake up even earlier and adjust his entire morning routine." Her face fell, frustration evident in her eyes. "But it's only for a little while, right? Just until I can figure something out. I really don't have any other options." I shook my head, feeling a pang of guilt, but resolute in my decision. "I understand your situation, and I wish I could do more to help, but it's not fair to ask him to change his routine. We're both going to have a lot on our plates with the baby coming." She sighed deeply, her frustration turning into something more pointed. "It's his fault you're pregnant after all. The least he could do is help me out. As your friend, I'd really appreciate it." Her comment stung. I knew she didn't mean it maliciously, but it felt like a low blow. I tried to keep calm, but my patience was running thin. "That comment isn't fair," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "We're all making sacrifices, and I can't ask my partner to take on even more just because you're having trouble with transportation." The rest of the drive was silent, the air thick with tension. I could feel the weight of the unspoken words hanging between us, and the once comfortable routine of our carpool felt strained and awkward. As we reached her workplace, I pulled into the parking lot, unsure of what to say next. She was still quiet, looking out the window. I didn't know how to fix things, and I didn't want to make this more complicated than it already was. I hope you find another way soon, I said, my voice soft. She nodded without saying anything more, and we both got out of the car. As I walked back to mine, I couldn't shake the feeling that our friendship was shifting, maybe in a way that would never be the same again.